Welcome back everyone. Today we'll be discussing the Jordan 1 Atmosphere Pink. Specifically, we will be discussing some release info, how to cop, and of course, some resale predictions at the end of the video. The Jordan 1 Atmosphere Pink releases on December 22nd, although they already did drop some pairs via exclusive access on the 15th. Retail is $170 for women's sizes, $80 for preschool, $60 for toddler, but we'll just be focusing on the women's pairs today. Stock between all sizes combined worldwide is just over 120,000 pairs. Compared to the recent Jordan 11 and Yeezy Beluga, this stock may seem very small, but this is actually just about the average stock for typical Jordan 1 that isn't a classic retro or collaboration. 15,000 pairs of which have already released via exclusive access in the women's sizes alone. Regarding resale, we will cover that towards the end of the video. As always, with the release info out of the way though, let's jump into how to cop these Jordan 1 Atmosphere Pinks. Specifically for this how to cop, we'll be going in chronological order as usual, along with exactly how to efficiently manage your time and setup for this drop, since a lot will be going on at once. Prior to discussing the first come first serve online drops though, make sure to follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and personals for you for any urgent updates on these, such as the exclusive access drop that we already saw on the 15th, and of course when I do tweet out the site list for these, as I do for every hyped release. Also, please make sure that you do not forget to sign up for the Flex app reservations. This is one of the best ways to get pairs, as well as asking your local foot stores about their procedure for leftover pairs. And now, in addition to the in-store reservations, like I've been saying in my recent how to cop guides, there are now online reservations too, which allow shipping. Foot Locker announced this at the end of October, of which they'll certainly be allotting a fair amount of stock to, and they certainly have been, as there hasn't been much going online at the 10 a.m. Eastern time drop, so be sure to enter these. You definitely do have a good shot at winning them. Now, moving on to the online first come first serve sites, and just US sites today. At 8 a.m. Eastern Time, we may be seeing Undefeated Drop, unless they announce 10 a.m. Eastern Time on their Instagram, which they actually did do for a couple of the recent drops. Before this time, whether it's 8 a.m. Eastern Time or if they do specifically announce 10 a.m., just make sure you are signed into your Undefeated account, as it is required on the site to check out. Be ready to solve a checkpoint captcha as well. And if you don't have access to a Shopify monitor, you can try refreshing the search page for AJ1 High, but your chance of copying will be very slim, as you guys know, since this is Shopify. But now, moving on to the confirmed 10 a.m. Eastern Time drop, this is where the actual fun begins, as usual. Since there's a lot to focus on, I'll guide you and suggest to you how to efficiently manage your time. First, I would suggest going for Hibbett as your first come first serve choice at exactly 10 a.m. Eastern Time, since Hibbett will be one that sells out quickly, but it is a pretty decent manual chance compared to the other Shopify releases, for example. It's what I've been suggesting recently, and it's been going well so far, so we won't change it just yet. You might get that press and hold captcha loop when trying to go for Hibbett, so just some quick tips to try to prevent getting looped into that. Just like we discussed in the prior how to cop video for the Jordan 11s and also the Yeezy Belugas, go to the coming soon page on the Hibbett calendar right before 10 a.m., click on the Jordan 1, then scroll slowly down until you see the sizes. If you scroll too quick to those sizes, you'll likely end up getting caught in that loop. My biggest advice in general here though is definitely to use Apple Pay as your checkout method, which you can click as soon as you select the size, as this is the most efficient way to check out. Or, as an alternative to Hibbett, you can choose one or two Shopify sites to focus on at exactly 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Alternatively, if I had to choose two for you guys, I would normally suggest Shop Nice, Kicks, and Shoe Palace, although this time Shoe Palace isn't even getting anything, but regardless of that, I'm not suggesting these this time just like I didn't on the Jordan 11 drop, specifically because of that $27 shipping, of which will really hurt the already low margin on these, that of which we'll be discussing later. Hence, instead, I'd suggest DTLR. I'd usually also suggest Jimmy Jazz, but for these Atmosphere Pinks, it appears that Jimmy Jazz does not have these loaded on the calendar. You could also consider going for Kith, as they'll be dropping them too, but that's been even worse manual as of recently. Not only that, but DTLR has been getting a little more stock than Kith as well. In conclusion, your 10 a.m. focus should be Hibbett, but these are some other alternatives if you do so desire. Now, right after those first come first serve drops are over, or hypothetically while you're waiting in the Shopify queue, now I want you to enter as many sneakers accounts into the drop as possible, as we usually do. This is going to be your #1 chance by far for copying these. Now, what's the most efficient way to cop off of Nike sneakers manually? Well, these are currently loaded as a Leo right now, but this could potentially end up changing to a Dan, since most releases recently have been Dan drops. Dan drops are also known as draws. You essentially have 10 minutes to enter in as many accounts accounts into the raffle as possible. Evidently, the more you could enter within that period, the better your chances will be. However, if it does not change, then you'll have about 3 minutes to enter all of your accounts if it does so happen to stay as a Leo drop, which is what it's loaded as of right now. We'll have to see as we do get closer to the drop though. Either way, I actually made a full in-depth video which I'd highly suggest watching regarding Nike sneakers because there is much more to it. If you guys do need to make more accounts, remember Nike does require SMS verification. You can't use the same phone number twice, so you will have to ask a friend of yours to use their phone number and then ask them for the verification code. However, if you'd rather not bother your friends or you just want a significant amount of pre-verified Nike sneakers accounts in general, feel free to check out my site TARS. The link is in the description below for pre-verified Nike sneakers and Adidas accounts. Now after sneakers, you'll want to shift your focus onto periodically checking Finish Line, JD Sports, and Snipes to see if you have past Q. Now as of right now, Snipes does not have these added on the calendar, but I do suspect as we do get closer to the 22nd, they will most likely load up. You could also try to add to cart on foot sites in between this, but it's almost definitely going to be a fruitless endeavor. It was already near impossible to cop here manually, but ever since they started offering shipping via the Flex raffles, the online stock has been extremely low. Make sure to set up the tabs for these sites beforehand. You should set them up as soon as you see my account or personals for you tweet out the links. This way you're already ready to go and waiting in queue after Nike sneakers. Just keep in mind that copying manually off of foot sites is near impossible, but Finish Line, JD, and Snipes is certainly very possible to still cop manually. Anyway, that will conclude it for the how to cop portion of the video. Now with the how to cop out of the way, let's move on to some resale predictions. First of all, stock on these is just about average from what we normally see for most Jordan 1s. One thing to note is that 15,000 pairs of that stock are already in circulation from that exclusive access that we discussed earlier. Hence, this is of course affecting the current pre-sale. More importantly, demand on these is pretty good, but certainly not even close to the magnitude of demand that we saw on the Jordan 11 Cool Gray or on the Yeezy 350 Beluga Reflective that we did recently discuss. It's pretty much like apples to oranges. If you do go back and check the footage from my videos for the seller hold videos or even the how to cop videos where I do show the StockX sale volume at those points in time, or even if you check it right now, you'll really see that it's like 10 to 1. The sale volume on those and the steady bids on those at even higher rates are exponentially more in comparison to these, but that's to be expected, of course, for the reasons we discussed in those separate videos. But that's not to say that these are bad by any means. Keep in mind that the stock on these also isn't near the magnitude as those other two sneakers, so while yes, the demand certainly isn't up there, neither is the stock. While it's not directly proportional, I do still see a lot of potential in these for easy small profit with a subpar margin with or without tax, specifically on the larger sizes, especially since these are a women's Jordan 1, sizes 10 and up should be ideal rather than the smaller sizes, hence I will be focusing on those big sizes. I'm not expecting a great margin on these, unfortunately, rather a subpar margin, but this is still easy profit at the end of the day, and that money does add up, at least in the larger sizes, so I will be going for these. I will be focusing on sizes 10 and up though. Anyway, that'll conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, or perhaps if you learned a thing or two. Subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you stay 100% updated on all hyped releases. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast, residential proxies and pre-verified Nike sneakers or Adidas accounts. Also, follow Endurance at Twitter for updates on restocks or key giveaways, and the same goes for Gargantua if you want to keep up with the progress or restocks. Last but not least, make sure to follow Keith Adam 10 and personals for you so you guys stay updated on all urgent info like I was discussing today. With that though, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, good luck on the release.